Too late.
Give me... I can't,
You're
like, my
live.
prompt is just broken and I don't know how to
You're like,
fix it.
ah.
It says Latera and I can't, like...
That's all right. Just roll with it. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Show and Tell. Who's first at the showing and the telling?
I'll go first. I'm having trouble getting my... So I want to show something with my that we're doing on my current client, but I'm having problems getting my client's name out of my bash prompt. So maybe I can survey the crowd, or survey our crack team here of Hashrocketeers about how I can do that. I could just rename the directory, right? Yeah, but that might break stuff. It's like
This is kind of why I think we shouldn't go live, coming from the man's that has exposed his passwords. We should just like record these like a week out and then post produce them. That way we can blur things.
Oh, that's no fun though.
That is fun, man.
Well, I think the liveness of it is what makes it fun. I don't know. Yeah, but point taken. Point taken. It's a lot harder, but I would still need to prepare for that, and I would still be unprepared. But okay, so here's my problem. Without showing you my tmucks, I have one of those. I didn't set up this machine that I'm on right now, right? So I'm not. So I don't really know what's going on. But I have one of those prompts that is like 2 levels, right? Like it gives you a status line, and then there's the prompt below that. That's like where you type. You know what I mean? And normally I would just say like override export PS1 equals this. But right now, when I do that, it just overrides the prompt line. The first line, the status line, does not get overridden. So I'm sort of curious about what that is. I think I could do env, right? To see if there's any like
Wait, you're in tmux right now? Tmux is what's showing the client name, or is it actually the shell?
The shell, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the shell that is doing that. My shell prompt. So yeah, I'm sorry I can't share my screen until I figured this out. So I have to pass.
Okay. Anyone else got something? Cool story.
I can show like an article that I found this week that I found interesting.
Sounds great.
Sounds good. Okay, cool. Let me find it real quick with a quick goggle search, and I'll show you guys.
Oh, I have a small thing that we figured out this week. Dylan was having some issues with some React components double rendering, and he was looking at it from the console view. It would show the renders, and he was rendering one thing, but it was rendering twice, and he couldn't figure it out, and it was driving him nuts. And so we were just kind of like walking through the whole thing, and I came across this article talking about like weirdness and double renders, and this article popped up about React strict mode, and so we looked into it, and basically what it said is that strict mode is something to check for like performance enhancements or something to save developers from themselves, but sometimes it can cause a double render. I didn't get into the whys because we were just trying to fix it. But the solution was, hey, try to redo your build in production instead of dev. And so we did that, and lo and behold, those renders went away. So it was like literally just a dev issue. So if you run into something like that, maybe it's strict mode. So I think he later, because he didn't turn it on, he later on looked into where it was even being done, and I think like, I don't know if it was Create React App or some other library he was using had enabled it. So beware, you've been shown and told.
Okay, cool. I'm ready now. I can show you my things. Okay. Okay, y'all see my browser?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, this is like going to be super informal. So Brian and I were like kind of talking this week about like performant Ruby, because it seems to be like a really interesting and commonly brought up thing in the Ruby world. And one of the like cool things that I learned about a week ago is anyone familiar with the Changelog podcast?
Familiar, but yeah.
Okay, so the Changelog had a podcast with I guess like one of the engineers from Shopify, because they recently did like a rewrite of like how their monolith works, and so they wrote this this like Ruby web server, I believe, and like a non-idiomatic way that's like super performant, and like pretty much like what it does is it like handles requests to Shopify storefronts and routes them to like a particular like rendering service. Like, but it was really interesting, and they were like talking about like how invested they are in Ruby. And I thought it was like interesting because sometimes people want to rewrite things for the wrong reasons, maybe, or they're like not willing to address like the actual problems that they have with like their implementations. But that just like that conversation just got us talking about like performant Ruby, I guess. And I don't know if you guys have like heard of this this implementation right here that I'm showing on screen, but this is Truffle Ruby. So this is an open source project that's backed by Oracle. So the cool thing about Truffle Ruby is that it's built using this Graal VM, which is JVM based, and it's like really, really interesting, like looking into this. So this is this Ruby implementation like isn't the 100% feature set. It's like most of the way. I think they said it's like it covers, so it passes 97% of the Ruby spec, which is really interesting. So it's like almost there. But one of the cool things about this is this article right here that I found. You can find this if you just search Truffle Ruby benchmarks. And I didn't know what I was expecting to see with the graphs, but here, but like this is the first one. So these are the runtime results of a bunch of different Ruby interpreters. And as you can see, like Truffle Ruby just like blows all the other ones out of the water. And I haven't looked into this all that much, so don't quote me on anything here, but I just think this is like super, super interesting that like people are like actively pursuing these like really performant Ruby interpreters. I just think that's like mad cool. And I don't know what the status of the what the Ruby 3 goal is, because I know they've been talking for a while about making Ruby 3 3 times faster than Ruby 2. And I think they're still on schedule to deliver a Ruby 3 release on Christmas. So it'd be really interesting to like see like what happens with Truffle Ruby going forward, and also like what happens with Ruby 3 and MRI for sure. But if any of you guys like want to look at this, I can paste this link in our Slack or something, or share it. I just thought it was neat.
Yeah, share it in our Slack.
Alrighty.
Sure.
All right, that's about all I got.
It would be fun to try to spin up a Rails instance on Truffle Ruby, or so, like maybe try to spin up Hashrocket.com on Truffle Ruby and see if it can see if it breaks down at all, just out of the box.
Yeah, for sure. There's some like pretty like useful info too here in the README for Truffle Ruby. Like they say like they do a pretty good job of conveying like what you can expect like based on like your applications that you're running. Like you can see here, Truffle Ruby can run Rails is compatible with many gems, including C extensions. Truffle Ruby is not 100% compatible with MRI 2.7 yet, though. Yeah, and it also has this note that it might not be fast with Rails applications in large programs, but yeah,
right. It's like optimized to like it's optimized for that benchmark.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, I actually don't know like who put together this benchmark. I didn't really even look at it all that much. I was just like, ooh, graphs, pretty. So
Yeah.
like this was just like a middle of the workday thing. I was like, oh, okay, I'll look at this. And we had a conversation about it. But yeah, I'll share that in Slack with you guys. So
that's cool.
Alrighty. I'm gonna stop the share.
All right. I am ready to share now, so I'm gonna jump in. So I'm gonna share my tmux. So first, I was looking at about my prompt. I was looking at the zishrc local for this. And zishrc local is part of our Hashrocket .matrix, right? So most people don't have a .local file, but in our zishrc file, in our shared zishrc file, we source the local file, which is where you would put your sort of machine's custom settings. And they had this here, autoload-u prompt init. And I thought, I was like, well, what is prompt pure? So I don't really know what prompt pure is, but I was able to get rid of the prompt by just saying prompt off. So that was a little like I don't know what's going on there, but
you said that was like in .matrix?
Well, this stuff right here?
Yeah.
This would be a Zish thing. So this is all when you're calling auto load right here, you're auto loading a Zish module.
Okay. No, I guess I'm more interested were you saying prompt pure was committed? Because that shouldn't be committed.
No, this is the local file. So
okay.
Yeah. This is the local file. So I think we're good there. Here, let me blow this up too. I'm not sure how small it is for the normal screen or for the viewing screen. But yeah, so prompt init is a module that I want to look into more. It seems interesting. And there was, when I said prompt and auto completed, tab completed, there's all these commands that are available. So I don't know, if next time I get into looking at Zish stuff, I'm gonna look at prompt, what's going on with the prompt init module. But the thing that I wanted to show was what happens when I do a commit in my current project. So GC, and then I'll allow empty. Allow empties just to say, well, I don't really have anything to commit, but I want to make a commit anyways. So you saw a bunch of stuff that popped out right before we got to the Vim prompt. And that's because we have some get after hooks going on. So let me show you where that's configured. That's actually coming from the package.json. And we're using a program called Husky, an npm package called Husky. And down here on line 122, we have Husky. We're configuring Husky with some hooks, and then we have a pre-commit hook here. And this pre-commit hook is doing a lot. First, we're changing directories to get to the node, the specific place where our package.json is. And then we call node app front end node modules .bin lint staged -c app front end package JSON. So what we're doing here is we're running the linter on our project. And if you don't pass the linter, then this hook is gonna stop you, right? It's gonna give you an error message, and it's gonna prevent you from committing. And that's cool. Sometimes it's annoying, but it sort of makes sure that you're using ESLint. And recently, because we have a hard time getting all the developers to run tests, and also we don't have a CI on our project, we've done this. So npm test -- prefix equals app front end, and then we're passing this flag to jest. So you can see over here in my output that we didn't run any jest tests, but if I change over to a file like info panel.jsx, I make a change here with a JavaScript comment. And then I say, GC, which is git commit. Now we're gonna see that we're determining what tests to run, and we're running all the tests that info world is part of. And that's pretty cool. That's not our whole test suite. So just determines with this flag, this change since flag, it looks at all the files that you're committing, right? And it says, and then it reads your dependencies tree, and it determines based on the changes that you made what tests need to run, and then it runs those tests. So we don't have to run the whole test suite here, right? We just have to run the tests that we care about for this particular change. And if they pass, then I can do a commit. In this case, I hadn't put anything in the index, so let me put in something in the index. Git add app front end checklist, and then git commit. We run the tests, and then it passed with a bunch of gross warnings in there, but now I can commit, and that's pretty cool. And now sort of with a small change, you can sort of get everybody in the direction of running their tests. That's it for me. Any questions?
It's kind of cool that you're doing that in lieu of CI.
Well, I think we would rather have CI, but there's some
it's not like the best thing, but it's better than nothing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's sort of where we're at right now. Yeah. And the cool thing about that is that if you're changing any Ruby code, those tests, you shouldn't have to worry about the tests, right? Like you should just be able to commit without running the tests.
Right.
It's only if you're changing like JavaScript code.
Right.
Cool. Nice to see Dylan in the picture. That's I'm sort of just thinking though that's a camera trick that Matt is pulling off somehow.
Yeah, it's just photoshopped. He hasn't moved, so you don't know.
Right.
Are you gonna show and tell how you did that camera trick?
Yeah, I took a picture of Dylan, and then I photoshopped it and made it my background.
All right, touch his face. If he's not real, you can touch his face.
See?
Reach back further. Come on.
Cool story though. I can make him disappear. So there you go. He's gone now.
Oh, there's the real situation.
Oh, I got ghosts.
Whoa! Now he's gone. That's a good trick.
He's like, he appeared. He's a ghost. Anyone have anything else? No? Okay. I can show off a little bit of automation, or at least how I automate it.
Do it.
Let me put this thing down. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Let's see. I need to. Clear all this nonsense. Actually, when you share Zoom, you can just share a window, right? Yes. Cool. There we go. So this is an app called Keyboard Maestro. It's a very old app for Mac. I like supporting small developers, and so I've purchased this all throughout the years along with the upgrades, and I've never really found a use for it. So I was playing around with it, and I thought that the process of making us go live is cumbersome for going live for this show and tell, because of how we went the easy route, and we are connecting to YouTube via Zoom, which requires us to be logged into certain accounts at certain times and like press a bunch of buttons, and it's just a pain trying to remember all the steps, versus like if you were like real live streaming, you would have OBS running, and then all of these would just be ins to a feed. So it's a little different. But anyway, what Keyboard Maestro is basically allowing you to touch almost anything on the screen. You would think that I believe it's called Keyboard Maestro because generally you trigger things via the keyboard, like shortcuts or commands. But you could use pretty much anything. Like we won't worry about that. But it's just a workflow builder. So as you can see here, I have a start, show, and tell stream workflow. And the first thing, there's several steps that I need to handle during this process. And so you just straight down the line. So first we have a host key. Now I am not the host of this meeting, but I need to be the host to make it go live. So instead of making sure that I'm logged in as the host of the meeting before I do this is a pain. So being able to claim host for the meeting was easiest. So I store our host key, which is, of course, 1, 2, 3. And I then open this particular Zoom meeting, and that opens it in the native app. Now, there are some delays depending on how long it takes to connect to the session. So I give it this rule. It's basically a condition that says, hey, if Zoom is at the front and there's a menu item called Show Manage Participants, which in this case only shows up when you're in a Zoom session. So that was a way that I could key off of it. So if that menu item exists, now I can do things. That means I'm connected. So first thing I do is I go and I move the window to my first screen and make it full size. And I do that because making it go full screen allows me to more easily determine where I need to mouse click later on, because windows can open at any size. So I would never know where the app is open unless I did some sort of sizing. Full screen was the easiest for me. It just made the numbers work a little easier. I could have positioned it anyway and then keyed all of the numbers off that. This just worked for me. So then now I go ahead and I say, go ahead and click the menu item, view, and then show manage participants. That slides open the window to see all the participants, which is where the claim host button is hidden. Then I pause. Now in these workflows, pause is a really valuable tool here. Because this happens so fast, you sometimes start clicking things that aren't there on the screen yet because you're waiting for animations to work or anything like that. Now the animations work pretty fast, so it's usually only like 0.1, 0.2 seconds to make the workflow work, but you do need the delay. So then I activate zoom just to make sure it's in the same, like that it's the forward window. I do this because I currently am running that stock checker script, which is opening Chrome windows all in the background. So my forward window is not always the forward window at any given time. So that's a me problem. So then I had an issue where the chat was opening, which in Zoom, so you have a slide over for participants, and then you have chat, which is also in that same slide over, but when you click it, it halves the participant window. So then I just say, hey, if that is open, close it. Otherwise, don't do anything. And I can, now that particular thing I could check via a menu item. That's the easiest, so that's what I do. Then I go ahead and claim the host. So here is the interesting thing, because I'm actually maneuvering the pointer with coordinates here. So I say, hey, I have to, based on relativity to the front window's bottom right corner, move the cursor to a certain point. Now I do that because it made sense to me. Usually by default, it's always the top left corner, but because claim host is in the bottom right corner, it seemed to make more sense to move from that point, especially if I was going to force it to full screen. And if you go through the documentation, these are nominal pixels, so you wouldn't be counting like the pixel doubling that Retina does. So it appears to be all relative to whatever resolution you have set on your machine. So like this script may not work for someone else. And then I'm pretty much doing the same thing. Because a lot of the actions in Zoom are not available to you via the menu system at any given time, you have to actually click them. So now I have to go to the click more that's at the bottom. Once that's available to me, I wait for that actual modal to open up, and then I click go live. So that automates that entire process, and then that goes, once you click go live, it goes to, it opens another window to have you log in as the host again, and then have you log in as, in our case, as YouTube to make sure everything's connected. So it's a long process to remember all these steps, especially like just as simple as the host key. Like I always had to log in as that account to see what the host key even was, so that I could remember to type in the number. So then, so that's that. And then one extra little tidbit is, so last week I talked about the Stream Deck, which, let me stop sharing and reshare here.
I've got a question when you're ready for them.
Go for it.
Does Keyboard Maestro Maestro let you hook into the accessibility label API stuff, like screen readers do, to click buttons?
Not sure, but let's see. So we have this. I'm going to. Am I still sharing, by the way? I'm not. Let me. I'll do this. Desktop 2. Okay. So to add more things, it's is easy. So I add a new action, and then there's a whole bunch of actions that we can look at. So let's see if there's anything regarding accessibility. Doesn't appear to be. That would make sense to me because I thought about doing that for like iOS stuff as well. That would seem like a really easy scripting maneuver, is to like hit all of the screen reader handles. But no, it doesn't look like it. So I have the Stream Deck that I talked about last week, which is the dedicated buttons, and so I could just tell Keyboard Maestro that I want to. So right now I have no trigger, so I'm just triggering this manually, but I could tell it to do whatever. So I'm going to open the Stream Deck utility here. Drag this over here, and then I can just tell it that I want to do some sort of workflow here. And so this just puts a position on the board, and so now I can come over here and say I want to trigger it by a device trigger. Nope. Device key, and I'm going to press that particular button. Come on. Oh no. Oh, it's triggering it. Yeah, it's triggering it. Hold on. Things are happening.
We're going to start a Zoom call.
I'm going to zoom in a Zoom. I'm zooming over here. Hold on. Ah, so much is happening. This is when terrible things go live. So anyway, it's thinking my mouse is getting triggered here, but it is. Oh, because
it's on your MX mouse.
Because every time I press my mouse button, it's triggering it. Let's.
You can't even open the menu.
Okay, I can delete it that way. All right, let's do it this way. Device trigger. Yeah, mouse move. So we do a device key, and I'm just going to press that particular key, and now it says Stream Deck, row 3, column 8. And let's see. So the oh boy, I really made a doozy. Let me stop sharing here. I think I'm going to be done at this point because my environment's a little messed up now that I've workflowed several times in a workflow.
That's it's a shame that you don't have that idempotency, but your script seems insane, and it just feels like you put a lot of work into it to get it perfect.
Here, let's see. Nah, it's fine. Yeah, and it's not like today. Notice that when there's something different about the interface right now today, that it was like 25 pixels in the wrong position to go live. So it did everything except actually going live. So I'll have to see what's going on there.
That means it doesn't work.
It doesn't fully work. That's what that means.
If it gets you almost there, then
it got me, 80% there.
That's cool. Is there a text format for what is it? It's keyboard editor or something?
Keyboard Maestro.
Keyboard Maestro.
It's a graphical workflow. I don't believe you would export this as like let's see.
It looks like Automator.
You could, it's basically Automator workflows. You can export it. I don't know what sort of file it exports in.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Still, that's
it for me.
awesome.
Oh man, everything's messed up.
Cool. So, golf clap for Matt Polito. Do we have any other show and tells? Suzanne, would you like to show and tell your cat?
Always.
So, nice. For Matt Polito. All right. And then any other show and tells? Oh my goodness, we got some.
Who's streaming the stream?
Are you streaming the stream, Suzanne?
Turn your radio down.
All right. And okay, so Vidal, do you have any show and tells? No. All right. Well, since we don't have any show and tells, I guess it's time to wrap it up. Vidal, do you want to sign us off, or?
You've been shown and told live, holiday edition. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Goodbye, all. Have a great weekend, guys.
Goodbye.